Hi everyone and welcome back to First Rank Fire. In today's roster we've got another returning guest, and what a returning guest we've got. It's Chloe, aka Lady Khaine. How are you doing, Chloe? Are you okay?
I'm very good. Thank you for wanting to have me back. It's very
No,
exciting to
you're
be back. Enjoyed
always
it so much
welcome to
last
be
time.
back. Yeah, definitely. We were just saying before we started recording, it's been over a year since we last did the last podcast, which is insane.
It is like a bit crazy how fast like that time has gone, and then for you to like be messaging me being like, "Do you want to come back on?" And it's like, "Oh gosh, like yeah, of course." But like it's kind of then mad thinking back, like, "Wow, yeah, it was like a year ago seems like so long, but at the same time like such a short time." When you think, like, I
Yeah.
was just like, "Oh, that's crazy." But looking
Yeah, I was
forward to it.
looking back to what we talked about and stuff like that, and it was all about that Angron that you were painting at the time.
Yeah.
And you like
He's
it feels
back.
like,
He's back there
yeah,
somewhere
you can see him.
just behind
Yeah,
me. Yeah.
it's mad because obviously, like, I feel like it's weird. It's not like your style for your Instagram seems to have changed quite a lot in the sort of content that you're making and stuff like that in the past year. It feels weird to look back and go, oh yeah, that's what you were
Yeah.
doing back then.
Yeah. It's definitely evolved, and I think um like part of the reason for that is also like the evolution of Instagram's
Yeah,
algorithm itself, and the fact that obviously reels are king
king,
to the
absolute king.
algorithm.
Yeah,
Like they do the best. Like I last week I posted on Saturday for the pre-order of the new like the teeny tiny AdMech robots for
oh yeah,
Imperialis.
yeah,
And I didn't do a reel for them. I didn't have time, and I just sort of like had painted them up, and I posted um, photos of it, and it was kind of crazy to see how little interaction my photo got compared to like then like the reels that I've posted this week of me doing the Croxagore
crop
for
scores.
the
Yeah,
Seraphon. And it kind of just sort of like confirmed for me that unfortunately, like, yeah, it's not necessarily like the photo sharing app anymore, but I don't think it has been for a while. But I think it's difficult, I guess, in some ways, to accept that, depending on how long you've like been on
yeah,
Instagram in general, and then also in the hobby community, because obviously, like, that's a big change from
yeah.
when I started just before COVID, and it was photos and things like that. So yeah, the content's changed, I guess you could say, to keep up. But I actually also really enjoy making the reels. Like I've found like
Mm,
this little niche corner of reels that I enjoy making, and
yeah.
people seem to like them, I think.
I
So
definitely do. They're really fun little because they're both sort of fun to watch, and the fact that you're sort of watching
thank
you
you.
paint a model fairly quickly. But it's almost informative because you're also telling us what paints you're using and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
so it's nice because it's informative and they're
it
quite
was.
short, sharp. Yeah,
Yeah, and that was like the like a really interesting thing to try and figure out, because I, like most of us, work a full-time job and stuff like that. So like content creating for me is like a
yeah,
side piece. And so I was like, I don't really have time to do like like YouTube style kind of tutorials or anything like that. And I was like, well, okay, well, how short can I actually make a
yeah,
painting video? Like that was like my thing. I was like, how few paints can I use? How easy and simple can I make this for someone who maybe is a bit like overwhelmed
hmm,
by like the idea of painting, and and the sort of like wealth of painting tutorials out there. I guess I kind of wanted to be like that starting point. Like these are just very simple, very like
mm,
tabletop ready kind of schemes that I do for them, because that's the best way to make basically a 90-second reel. That's what most of them are. They're a minute and a half, but from start to finish, like I show the whole process.
yeah,
And yeah, it was kind of weird when I did the first one and I was like editing it, and I was like, I don't know, like, is this actually going to be any good? Like, people going to be able to follow this? I was like, have I made the clips too short? Like, I'm not really sure, but yeah, the first one I did was for Skaven, I think it was, for
yeah.
the
The
iOS
Skaven
box
type
that came
box.
out,
Yeah,
and yeah, it did well, and I was like, okay, cool. So I just kept going from there, and it kind of helps me get through my painting backlog as well, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's like, not only am I painting my own models, but I'm also then obviously doing the content at the same time, so it's a
Yeah, two
time
birds, one
saver, I
stone.
suppose. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Although you must have one of the most colourful arrangements ever. I mean, like the Terminators, you painted each one in a different chapter. All of
I
those
did.
Seraphon are all
Yeah.
vastly different colours. It must be like a rainbow in your room.
Yeah, the boxes that I keep my models in do look quite amusing, because there's like, just sort of like this array of colours in there, and it's really interesting, because obviously for so long I did like army painting, and I was always painting like for
Yeah,
like my own army or something. So obviously that's, you know copy and paste, copy and paste.
yeah.
But I've like recently sort of like fallen out of the gaming side of it, like not like for
Okay.
any bad reason or anything like
Yeah,
that. I just time, and I really liked ninth edition 40k, and then 10th came along and it's been a bit rocky, and
yeah.
that kind of like put me off for a bit. So I just haven't really sort of picked it back up. So I thought, well,
That's fair.
if I'm not army painting, it kind of means I can just do all of these kind of like fun colors that I'm like, do you know what? I would genuinely put these Seraphon on the tabletop. Like, I don't
Yeah,
mind, because I think it would just be
yeah.
really fun to have like so many like bright and different colors, and they'd be, I guess, uniform in some ways, but not
Well,
in
yeah. What
others.
is your theme? Rainbow. Like it's a perfect theme.
Yeah, exactly. Just bright lizards. Like,
Yeah,
you're not gonna miss them. And like, yeah, I really enjoyed the Terminator project, because it was just kind of fun to paint different chapters, and
yeah,
especially like loyalist stuff, because obviously, like previously, very much more the chaosy side of
yeah.
things. I did my Nurgle, I've done some corn and stuff like that, and I do want to, like, I kind of want to go down like memory lane and do painting reels for those, because I still do get
Oh, that'd be
obviously like
cool.
a lot of questions about like my corn color scheme and the
Yeah,
skin that I did on the 8 pound and stuff. The only problem is that's a lot trickier to fit into 90 seconds, because that was a much longer painting process compared to um, the ones I'm doing at the moment. So I'm
yeah,
still trying to like figure out. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I could do like, oh, well, like here's the skin, here's the armor, sort of thing.
yeah,
It's just, I think people appreciate start to finish a lot more, because we're just kind of in that like TikTok generation of
yeah.
like,
We
we
are.
want to see it like done. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
like click
Show
like
me everything
various
right now.
videos. Yeah, exactly. Show me it in like 30 seconds, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't get to that point. Can't get to
Here
that
is
level.
one
Like,
one paint
it would
stroke.
be so
Next, one
sped
paint
up.
stroke.
Like, could you imagine? Done. Hey presto. Um, but yeah, so yeah, the content has definitely changed a bit from when we were first
Yeah,
chatting a year ago.
yeah. Because at that point, did you? There was the the 8 pound for Golden Demon at the time.
I did do some
Yeah,
8 bound for Golden Demon.
it's quite a different. Like you say, the stuff you're doing now is more like army painting. Because I'm
Yeah,
doing a similar thing. It's really sort of reinvigorated some love for painting. Because I was trying to go down that route of like
yeah.
doing something singular and to the best. I was like, actually, I kind of want to get an army out. I felt like I was getting no motivation to
Yeah.
paint because I was like, well, I'm not going to get an army
It's
painted.
it's really difficult, because like I love painting like in all sort of like various shapes and forms, and things like that, and there is definitely a massive satisfaction you get from that model that you've put
Oh
hours and
yeah,
hours into. Like Angron is like probably like my pride
stunning.
and joy of like painting. And people are probably bored of me talking about him, but he is like that
Here is
really.
said picture on YouTube of said
Yeah,
Angron. It's incredible.
um and yeah, like hours went into him, and I love him, but then equally, like, I look at the Seraphon or the Terminators or the Skaven that I've done, and I'm kind of equally as proud of them, but like in a different way, because
Yeah,
they're up to a standard that I think is like pretty decent for like a tabletop. I've got through a lot of backlog painting this way, and as you say, like, it kind of like reinvigorates you a bit, because you get a finished product in that sort of shorter space of time. And when your hobby time is finite as it is,
yeah,
because of life, it's kind of like weighing up that thing of like, do I want to spend the hobby time I've got currently just kind of, ticking away at one model, or
Yeah,
would I
edge
rather kind of,
highlighting.
or would I rather get a unit done in like a week and be like, well, I'm really happy with them, and I think they're up to a standard that I would be happy to put them onto like
Yeah,
the tabletop and play. Because not every model has to be that display level, or if you're not entering it into a painting competition, it's just got to hit that tabletop
yeah,
minimum for you to play with. And I think I would, it's more satisfying to have an army completely like that than maybe have like one model painted really well and then like the
yeah,
rest are still grey because you're still working on
yeah,
that one
yeah,
model. And I know people are different, and it completely comes down to preference, but I enjoy both. It just depends on the model I'm painting. If it's something that I look at and I go, yeah, I really want to spend like a lot of time on it, then I will. But if it's like, um, the stuff I've been doing recently, and I'm just kind of like, well, I want to get it painted. It helps me make content. People really like the
mm,
painting reels, then that's ticking a lot of things off for me in one
yeah,
sort of
absolutely.
swoop.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's the kind of best use of your time. And weirdly, I've probably got that's strange. So the Lions obviously probably be one of the ones that I spent the most time on, and so it's got the most like likes and things like that on Instagram.
Yeah,
But actually, I get a lot more engagement from doing the sort of slap chop, Skaven, and Marines that I've started doing. There's so many more people that want to talk about how I did it. Like
yeah.
I think I'm really proud of my Lion, but I know there's so many other painters out there who can do what I try to do so much better. They just are. They've spent thousands and thousands of hours getting to
Most of
that
them are
skill level.
professionals as well. Like, and I think that's
Exactly.
like the other thing to be like mindful of when you're thinking about like your own painting, or if you're like just entering the hobby, etc., etc. And we all love to compare and things like that. Like, it's just human nature. But it is remembering that when you look at some of those, perhaps like Golden Demon entries and stuff like that, like these people are like professional painters. This is what they do full time,
All
or
day,
like
every day.
90% of their time, sort of
Yeah,
thing. um which is obviously a much much larger chunk of time than like myself and you, for example,
yeah,
probably have for hobbying. So everything is relative. Like, be proud of what you do in the time that you have. And um you know as long as you're painting, like I think that's a great thing, and
absolutely.
you will naturally improve like the more you're painting. But equally, it's not a race, like, and it takes time. But it's also okay to do the quick thing. Like, I know Slapshot kind of gets a bit of
It's some of the
hate
best painting that I've done.
in some
Genuinely.
circles.
Yeah,
But I really like it. I think it certainly has its place. And as I say, I'd rather play someone who's painted their army that way than play an army that's half painted or not
yeah,
finished or not even undercoated. So
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of like my view on it. Like,
I mean, I agree.
let
I mean that if I compare like the rat ogres that I did from the Skaven type box, they were slap chop. Yeah, there was the metal was done a little bit differently, added the verdigris to it and stuff like that. But if I compare them to some of the Deathwing Terminators that I did a year and a half, 2 years ago, I'd say that slap chop, which took me a fifth of the time, has made a much better product because of it.
yeah.
And I just because I enjoyed it, I think I put that more dedication into it, and so I was like,
And
well,
that's the thing, it's
what's
the enjoyment
yeah,
factor, isn't it? Like, at the
exactly,
end of the day, this is a hobby, like, and you're meant to have fun, you're supposed to enjoy it.
yeah,
And if slaving away over painting something is like putting you off, then maybe that's just not like the style of painting for you. And I
yeah,
think that's like absolutely okay. Like, it's taken me a long time to be, I guess, like comfortable slash like confident in my painting level. Like, I'm by no means amazing at all. But I'm happy with where I
you are,
am.
but keep
Oh,
going.
thank you. I wasn't fishing for it. I was genuinely just
I'll give
like
it to you
honest.
anyway. You are,
Ah,
but yeah,
thanks. But do you know what I mean? Like, it did take me a while. Like, you do feel kind of, as I say, like, comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. So it takes a while, especially like in the social media realm, to
Yeah.
deprogram yourself from that way of thinking and just be happy and proud of like what you've produced, because as long as like you're happy with it, that's all that matters. I always say to people, like, it's your hobby, it's your miniature, like you paint it
Yeah.
however you want to paint it. um, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, like really, like in the grand scheme of things, unless you are asking for
Yeah,
constructive
absolutely. Yeah.
criticism on
Yeah.
it, totally different. um,
Yeah.
the unwarranted comments, not so great.
There's many of
But
them out
again,
there. I mean, yeah.
again,
Yeah.
social media, and unfortunately you kind of just have to accept that that's part of it. I'm not saying that it should be, but you do kind of
It
have
kind
to
of is.
just
Yeah.
ignore it and be like, yeah, okay, like that's cool.
Fine. You have your opinion. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm going to be slightly negative here, which I think is relatively rare for me. So I'll accept it. I do think competition painting at the moment, when you look at some of the bigger competitions, I think they are driving people down a certain route, and I think
yeah,
that's what a lot of people think. All of a sudden, well, I have to paint that way, which is a real
mm,
shame. Because I mean, if you want to go into Golden Demon and you want to win something, odds are you're probably going to have to paint as an heavy metal style if
yeah,
you
or
want to
very
win.
similar, or like the sort of non-metallics, the true metallic style, and things like that. And I saw a really interesting thing on Instagram. Like, I can't remember who posted it, so I feel very bad and not remembering. But it was this sort of like opinion of like, are these competitions at a point now where they should have a professional category?
Yeah,
And I was
yeah,
like, that's a really interesting thought that I hadn't considered at the time, like, prior to any of them. But like we said, when you think about the level of professional painters, you're like, oh, actually, that's really interesting. And yeah, but I don't know.
there's a
I
lot of
think
new
it could be a
competitions doing that.
controversial
Yeah,
topic.
no, no. There's, when you look at some of the new competitions that's coming through, so you look at like MPO, which obviously did it
Yes.
online, but now they've brought, this year was the first time they did it in person,
Yeah.
and DiddyCon that's coming up in December, they've all got a master standard, and MPO's got a beginner level as well.
That's cool.
I went to MPO in Bristol. Genuinely, it was incredible because you got to sort of go through what you sort of think your level is, and yeah, it's still quite wildly different.
Mm.
But you were comparing to your level, which felt really different. The moment you kind of put your model next to something from like the masters one, you were like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, okay, fair. But it's your job. That's
And
what you do.
unfortunately, that's kind of what Golden Demon is, isn't it? Like, you are, as
Yeah,
you say, like you're taking that beginner, or in the middle person, and then at the very very top end, you've got the people that have entered many a competition, paint all the time kind of thing for their job.
yeah.
And you're like, is that really, I guess, is it really a competition at that point?
No, that's people almost enter Golden Demon, and you kind of enter going, well, I'm not definitely going to win anything. I'm just entering it for the experience of doing it.
Yeah.
And you kind of like, I get it. I find it really unmotivating. I know other people don't. I know other people are like, yeah, I just want to do it. But I kind of look at Golden Demon and go, I'm not going to bother entering. There's no point.
Yeah.
I'll go and look at it. Really appreciated it. I'm not gonna enter it. MPO was nice because I was like, oh, there's a standard level. I can arguably I thought about going into beginner, but I was like, but I feel
There'll
like
be
I
all
can
of us in
enter
a
it.
queue, like, yeah, beginner. Beginner.
Beginner. I've only been doing this for 8 years,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
I started yesterday.
yeah. I started yesterday, but it felt like I was like, actually, yeah, I can compare against something that.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like Eva, who won a gold in standard at MPO, hers is the Emperor's champion, the one with the sword held up.
Yes.
Absolutely insane. She entered that into standard, and she was like, "Oh, I'm not going to win anything." I was like, "Eva, you've won gold. Let's be honest. You've won the gold here. You're the only
Yeah.
person in this room not saying it." So there were like some incredible painters in that level, but yeah, it didn't feel like I was just going there and wasting my time. It felt
Yeah.
like, and it helps as well the fact that so stuff like MPO again, Diddycon, they're all opens, and so there's not like one gold, one silver, one bronze. It's if you're painting to that level, you're going to
You
get
get, yeah,
something.
you place, which I think again, yeah, is really like, probably, I guess, would be people's preferred way. I don't know, like, I don't know whether some, but then there'll be some people who'll be like, oh, you're just giving out
But if your painting's
stickers
at that
to
level,
everyone kind of
yeah,
thing. But I think having like entered Golden Demon myself, it probably wasn't the best experience for like a first proper painting
mm,
competition, because as I say, like, yeah, okay, there's categories, but yeah, you're in those categories with people that have already like picked up a Slayer sword before,
yeah,
or already have Golden Demons. So it's a very interesting competition, and it never fails to have controversy. So like, I love
yeah,
it for that. Like the drama always is
yeah.
entertaining.
It's incredible. But I mean, one of the big dramas this year was the fact that everyone was like, "Oh yeah, but I think that this is the gold, not this one." And you're like, "Well,
Yeah,
arguably they're gold for their own reasons." And so if they had that thing of this is just the gold standard of
yeah,
painting, then you'd probably have 2 or 3 or 4 in that category quite easily. Like almost the gold, silver, bronze in almost every category. Like that is just gold level painting. It's incredible. And so
yeah.
yeah, it will remove a lot of that controversy. Like I say, there'll be the people who are like, no, there should be one winner. And you're like, well,
Yeah. And I
okay,
think
but
what makes it difficult, and why there's perhaps some like sort of issues around people like saying like, oh well, I don't really understand the judging, I don't really understand what they're looking for, because you always hear the same for Golden
yeah,
Demon quite regularly. And I think it is because they are very much stuck to that strictly like gold, silver, bronze, and that, as you say, like, and it's just one of each. There's not multiple. So that does, I think, create a difficulty maybe in sometimes understanding what they're looking for, because
yeah,
what you might see at one Golden Demon isn't going to be the same at the next, mainly because you might have different judges,
yep,
different country, etc., different entrants. So obviously there's going to be all of that as well, but I think it does probably have some hindrance that they really have to select just one of each in each category. Whereas, as
yeah.
you say, at the opens, there's more fluidity
It's a
to it. I'm not
standard.
saying, obviously,
Yeah,
yeah, they don't just hand them out. Obviously, the models deserve them,
yeah,
but it means you see more consistently what is getting a gold, what is getting a silver,
yeah.
what is getting a bronze, rather than just that one example and kind of being like, yeah, but that model over
That's
there
different.
kind of
That's
looks
different
like
to
it
one, the
should.
US one. Yeah,
Yeah, like all the controversy over the skink that won. It's just
yeah,
Golden Demon just never fails to at least be entertaining, and obviously the painting is outstanding. Like, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, it's not something I would personally look to enter again. But perhaps maybe
mm.
one of these opens where there are that sort of level, I'd consider those.
I definitely recommend MPA. I really enjoyed that. Really, really enjoyed it. It
Yeah,
was
and
a
that's
really
not too
good.
far from me actually, to be fair. So could
Yeah,
pop
it was good
down.
fun. Yeah, getting away from negativity. What are you looking forward to coming up to next? What's coming out that's tickling your fancy?
Oh, too much, too much. Yeah, I can't really say. There's quite there's quite a
There's
bit.
so much coming out real soon.
Yeah,
It's just
there
insane.
is. I saw the article today for the Underworld war bands.
Oh yeah, they
Again,
smash them
Seraphon.
every single
I was like,
time.
ooh,
Yeah,
Nurgle. I was like, I've never played it, but I do really enjoy all the models for like the specialist games that
yeah,
GW do. Like, I always think like whoever's on those design teams, I feel like they just get told to like just do what
just
you
have
like.
fun.
Like, there's no
Yeah,
brief. It's just like, we need 3 models, we need 5 models. Here's the army.
yeah,
Therefore, like, off you go. Like, they're always so different to what you see for
yeah.
like the standard army releases, and I love it. I just think the character of those models, like, and I was already looking at them and I was like, yeah, I could do a painting reel for that. That would be cool.
Yes,
Like, I was like,
yeah. It's always the little pet things that have always got like the little
yeah.
dogs or
Oh, it's
skinks
so
or
good. And
little
again, like,
frogs.
social media just goes mad for them, and
Oh
I just
yeah,
like, I love that like GW is just like leaning into that as well. Like, yeah, we'll give you some
you've got to, haven't
like
you? Yeah,
like some utterly ridiculous stupid little model that like is not meant to be the center point of this at all, but go for
yeah.
it.
What was it this time? Was it the snakes and the little frog? Was
Yeah, there's
that the
like
one?
some weird
Yeah,
things, and I love it. Like I was when I was like doing the Croxagore and building them, and like realizing that like there's like a little tiny like frog for each
Yes.
Croxagore for you to put on the base,
Yeah.
and I was just like, the little things like that. Like I love it. Like the detail is just really fun. So yeah, I think like the underworld stuff looks really really cool. I'm not really sure. Like yeah, I mean anything that comes out is great.
It's
I
hard
love adding.
not to, isn't it? Yeah. What do you think
Yeah,
about
like I
Kill
love
Team?
adding to my
Because the
plastic
talk about
pile.
the new Kill Team starter box. What about that one?
Yeah, that was nice. That was a very nice
There's your Nurgle.
box.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice box. And then actually, yeah, like the Vespid that just came out as well. They were really cool.
Yep. Dave, who's my co-host on the Second Rank Fire podcast, he's bought 30 of those.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's making like
Okay.
a full
He
Tau
likes the
auxiliary
Vespid.
Vespid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played a game the other day. He said it
Nice.
got absolutely hammered, but the Vespid move so quickly
As
and
long
they
as
hit
you're
so
fun.
hard when they do hit. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Is there like anything that you're like particularly looking forward to, or like you got your eyes set on like another project?
I'm in a bit of a weird one at the minute. I've got my Terminators to do. So I've
Nice.
thought of like a slap chop theme for them. So I got really
Perfect.
bored of painting them the way that I was trying to because it was just edge height and bone is a pain in the ass.
I don't believe in
Hate
edge
it.
highlighting personally, and like people can come at me if they want to, but I despise it. I hate doing it. I find it soul destroying, and I don't even really like the look of it at the end. So
Some
yeah,
of them look.
that's
I mean, some of them look great. Don't get me wrong, but
some of
I
them do,
mean,
yeah, but it's
Terminators are
not
just
like I look
yeah.
at it personally, and I don't know, like I see that panel, and then I'm just like, and then there's just like a line.
It
As I
does
say,
make me laugh. It does make me
everybody's
laugh a little bit
preference.
because they talk about it. Oh yeah, but it's like how the reflection. I'm like, yeah, but have you ever looked at something in real life? Like nothing has this really hard line. So
Like
it's good when
it's like
people do it as layered. Like who does
yeah,
it? So 84 paints. Den
yeah.
he
Denny,
does like his layered edge highlights, and they look incredible. So they
they
actually look
do,
like they
they do.
blend into a highlight. You're like, okay, that's fair. But yeah, I do it. It's like there's a solid stripe. You're like,
I just like
what have I
I'll do
done?
like one really really well, and then like I'll go to do the next one, and it's just like this splodge, and then like I'll
Yeah,
just immediately be pissed off, and I'm like I don't want to paint anymore. Like
yeah,
this is stupid, and I just yeah, it's just not. It's not for me personally. I
no,
think people that do it, like as long again as I say, it's your miniature, you do you. But I do find it like a yeah, it's really interesting that that is like a standard of painting and considered like high level. But I don't personally always like the look of it, and I think there's some much nicer ways to do things that aren't, as you say, yeah, like necessarily the harsh
yeah.
line. But
I've enjoyed Skaven for that massively because they're so organic and natural. It's just meant that well, I can do that like layered dry brush underneath using
yeah,
contrast stuff like that, and it kind of pulls out where you want to, and you don't expect there to be that hard line because it's supposed to be natural. And like the Hellblasters that I'm going to absolutely timestamp this when we did this podcast, were the Hellblasters that I put out yesterday evening. I put them out.
yeah,
That's all again dry brushed underneath, contrast going over the top, and it's got like a natural highlights
yeah,
to it because it's the way that I dry brushed it, but I've not then dry brushed over the top, so it kind of works. But
yeah. And
yeah,
like that's the way like as we were saying earlier, like with slap chop or speed painting, like whatever you want to call it. There are ways that yeah you can do that highlighting, do that shadowing, and achieve a pretty cool look with
mm,
not as much like having to be as time consumed with doing
yeah,
it. As I say, like yeah, maybe if I had more patience, I'd do edge highlighting. But
maybe. Like I
I
said, I
just
don't
don't
like the
think
look of it.
I am a human being who is made for edge highlighting because my
Yeah,
patience and my like shaky hands just aren't
yeah,
like just not compatible. Um,
yeah. I hear you there. I am the same, but I'm looking behind me because they are literally sat right there. Like 30 Terminators to paint. I'm not edge highlighting 30 Terminators. I don't care what anybody says to me. I am
no,
not edge highlighting 30 Terminators. I'll be here for the next 10
no.
years and I might finish the first 10.
I was going to say, like, I don't think I'd even have like 5 done in 10 years because I'd just get too angry at them and they'd go in a
Yeah.
box and never be seen again. Be like,
Well, that's the thing.
Terminators? What
Like,
Terminators?
I kit bashed the first 5 when whatever the Leviathan box set came out. So I
Mm.
kit bashed them to look more Dark Angels-y. Really loved that bit. Primed them, and then I went, oh, I don't want to paint these. I just can't. I can't be bothered to edge highlight them. So I just didn't, and they've literally just sat there
Yeah.
primed for such a long time. And I was like, stop being stupid. I have bought another 20 Terminators because I'm a Dark Angels player,
I
of
love
course.
that
I've
you
got
brought another
Terminators.
20 after you'd like ignored the other ones for
Yeah,
so long, and you're like, do you know what will make me do this? If I'm buying more.
yeah,
If I add
yeah.
to them,
Exactly.
maybe
Well,
I'll
now I've
paint
got to
them.
make a Terminator list. So yeah, so I have more, and I was like,
It's
well,
like
if I've
true
got
hobbyist
more,
logic right there. I love it.
yeah. Well, I was like, if I've got more, I need to think of a paint scheme. So then
Yeah.
I painted Descave, and I went, will this work on Space Marine? And this is the thing: whenever you talk about like slap chop, contrast, whatever, everyone's like, absolutely don't use it on armor panels. And I'm like, well, kind of
Yeah,
worked for
I
my
have had
Hellblasters.
people come for me since I put
Was it your
those reels out.
Crimson Fist Terminator? Was that
Yeah.
contrast? It turned out incredible. That I
Literally
looked at that
like
and went, I can do this.
90% of them were contrast or slap chop or
Yeah,
speedy in some
speedy.
way. And it's my Dark Angels one actually that gets the most harassment on it, because I know, and I'm well aware, I'm not silly, Dark Angels green contrast is not the best contrast paint in the world, right? But it was the one that I had at the time.
Yep, fair.
And I thought, you know what? Let's just do it. And I did it. And I was like, you know what? I've spent this time. I'm putting the reel out anyway.
Yeah,
Like, I don't care. Like, whatever. I was like, I kind of know exactly where like this is gonna go. And yeah, it got me some harassment. uh, like nothing too awful, but like the standard, like, oh, why did you use that? Like, it's such a bad paint, blah blah blah. And
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm aware, but it's currently on 362,000 views. So keep
Yeah, it's
posting
not
the
that bad.
negativity, because that's just going to pop
Yeah,
it
just
up in the
keep pushing it up.
algorithm.
Yeah,
You're also going to end up seeing more of my stuff because you've commented on
you've
it.
commented on
Like,
it,
this is
so
what always
here's
makes me
more.
laugh.
Yeah.
I'm just like, crack on. Like, there's a few comments I delete that when I'm like, actually, no, you're just being like, these are
Oh,
nasty.
rude.
Like,
Just there's
I'll
no need
delete
for
those
it.
ones. But the other ones I find amusing, so I kind of just leave them. And like, people tell me to draw my barrels, and I'm like, fuck off.
I've stopped doing that as well. So like again, I'm gonna get hate for
I
it.
will never do it.
I've got 30 Terminators. Again, I'm not drilling Stormbolters because that's like 60 holes. I just can't be bothered.
No, like, I'm also like way too accident prone when it comes to like hobby tools. Like, Christmas Eve last year, I spent 4.5 hours in A&E because I decided to like shove a hobby knife like up into my
You
finger.
sent me pictures, and oh my
Yeah,
lord, did you do a number?
yeah. I've never built an old world movement trace since. It was like there's just like sheer moment of like stupidity. I'd like scored the tray, like, like the old school plastic
Yeah.
tray. And let's pretend this is a hobby knife because it's safe, because it's a makeup brush, so I'm not actually going to injure myself. So I decided to like tuck it between my hand here, and then we'll pretend this very safe bit of kitchen towel was the plastic. So I've held it in my hand there, not realised how much force I'm about to use to snap the tray that I've just scored. And I snapped it with so much force that the knife just went poof, like that.
Straight in.
So, going back to the barrels, no, I won't drill them because I'll end up slipping and I'll end up with like a drill bit through like my hand or something stupid like that, or I'll take like half the gun off. It's just like, I
Yeah.
no. Again, as I say, I don't have the patience to edge highlight, like, let alone drill barrels.
Half of my barrels that I have drilled are good. The other half they've split, or I've drilled in slightly
Yep.
the wrong place, so it looks off. Yeah, I've looked at the new ones. I've gone, I just don't care.
Yeah, one of my friends was like, just get a Sharpie, put a dot on the end. Or
Yeah,
like, a bit of a bad and black. Like, come on, how many people are actually going up to a table when you are playing a game and like getting like that up
where's your
close
drill
and
barrel?
personal with your minis? Like, sure, maybe if you're entering a painting competition, you crack on. Preference is
Yeah.
yours. I will not be doing it.
if they're getting
But
that
yeah,
close to my Mini, they've probably seen all of the other faults in my Mini. At which case,
I was going to
the
say that's going
drill
to be the
barrel
least
is
of my problems at
yeah.
that moment in time. I'm going to be like, ooh,
They'll be
don't look
looking
at
at
that
like
bit. I didn't.
you've missed this entire panel. I'm like, yeah, well, you can't see it from
I'm one of
10 foot
these.
away.
I'm one of these firm believers of like paint what you can see. So I'm like,
Yes.
just don't turn the model upside down, right? It's fine.
Yeah.
No, I do paint all my models. I do. It's a joke, people. It's a joke.
No,
It's so
I
funny.
don't. Yeah, if you got a torch out and like the chaplain that I'm going to post soon, if you turn that upside down and shine a torch in, you see some lovely grey. Probably it's probably not even primed in there because I just couldn't
Yeah,
be bothered.
I went to paint one of the Crocsicles, the one that I posted today, which is the green one. And I like spun the model around, and I had clearly just decided that there was like just this like diagonal strip where I hadn't undercoated it, and I was just like, how did I manage that?
What?
Because the other two were fine and they were on the same spray stick, and I was just like, oh, I just get the black paint out.
Yeah,
I'll just fill that in.
yeah, it'd be
But
fine, no problem.
yeah, so it's yeah, doing the reels is as we go back to the Dark Angels contrast paint thing like that. The one thing I have noticed is that by doing these reels more, it has obviously increased interaction, but not all of that has necessarily been positive. And I'd say that
Hmm.
in like the last 6 months, I've probably experienced the most negativity I've had since being on social media because
Interesting.
of the reels and like the things like the like draw your barrel or like
Yeah,
why would you paint it like this, or like one person was like, oh, I'd rather paint like no, I'd rather play a sprue grey army than play armies painted in slap chop and like stuff like this. And someone was like,
go
oh, but
ahead.
that's not how that's supposed to be painted. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's my miniature, so I can paint it how I want.
See this miniature in my hand? It's in my hand, not yours.
Yeah, and
I'll do whatever
that's
I
what
want
I
with
always
it.
just find so amusing, like that people sort of kind of like, yeah, take that time to be like, oh, well, it should be like this. And I'm like, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Private Page with no, so I can't see any of your miniatures that you've painted. Cool. Really going to take your feedback on board. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
It's just such
I
a
like I
weird.
say you said it quite a while ago, but it's like this idea of like having asked for criticism and stuff like that. People will freely give it when it's not asked for, but
Yeah.
at that point, if I've not asked for criticism and somebody gives it me, I am fully within my rights to completely ignore whatever you've said. Whether it's good or
Yep.
bad, I've not asked for it, so I'm going to ignore it if I want to.
Or I'm going to reply to you really sarcastically if
Oh
I'm
yeah,
in that particular mood that day, which I did earlier to a comment I don't normally, but I was just like, when you're just like, not today. I was like, no. And yeah, and then it was just really funny because like thinking about it now on one of the Marine ones, there was like this long comment and someone was like, oh well, yeah, you just went back in and like added some highlights and then did some like edge highlights, blah blah blah. And I was like, you clearly didn't read the caption for this post at all about it being like a really quick and simple scheme. And I even said in it, like, however, you could, if you wanted to, also do X, Y, and Z.
yeah,
Like I'd said it, like I'd acknowledged it, but this person just like, I was like, wow, people don't read. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Someone asked me about my scathing, and I said because the stage I hate with my scathing the most is when I've painted the bronze on and not put a wash on it. I hate it. And I was like, well, someone was talking about it. I was like, look, if you don't want to do the verdigris stuff because you can't bother, just wash it and just leave it like that.
Yeah, too
And I was
right.
like, you like that's the nice thing about slap chop. You can kind of paint it to whatever level you want. If you want to keep going with
Yeah,
it, do it all your edge lighting. Like the chaplain that I did, all slap chop, and I went,
exactly.
I'm missing an edge highlight. So that's got the odd edge highlight here and there. So I was like, that just finishes that model for me. You don't
Yeah.
have to.
And that's the thing, like for me, slap chop is like basically painting, like if we were talking about it in like normal old school painting terms, I suppose, it's like your base layer
Yeah,
with like, do you know what I mean? Like it's it's a better level than that, I think personally. But that's kind
yeah,
of
I
what
agree.
it's like that equivalent of like, maybe your base and your wash, but I feel like slap chop does elevate that slightly more. So you're kind of like just above that. But as you say, like if you want to, like you can build on that and you can add your highlights in, or like you can add your effects, like as you say, like the verdigris, or if you want to do like rust, or anything
Yeah,
like that. Like it's just creating a really good like canvas for you to work on if you then want to, but equally also giving you something that looks really nice that you can put on the tabletop, and you can go back and do like the details as and when you please with
yeah,
it, but your army is still fully painted, which I think is like a really cool way to go about it, rather than feeling like I've got to do this unit and I've got to do it like all the way up here
100%.
before I can do the
Yeah,
next one. And it's like, well, actually, if you just like blanket, get it all to that sort of like that mid level, then you can go back and you can look at it and you can be like, okay, cool, okay, well, I want to add that to this unit, and I want to do that to this one,
yeah,
and I just that I don't know personally, like maybe it won't be for everyone, but that's kind of like how my brain works, and like find it much more satisfying and
yeah,
feel like I've achieved a lot more with my time by being like, okay, well, that's all done. I can go back to that when I want, but it
yeah. I
is
agree.
good
Yeah,
as is as well. So
yeah, 100%.
that's how I feel about Slapshot. If you couldn't tell, I
Yeah,
like it.
I like it. We'll leave Slapshot there because we're both on the same page. So everyone's going to disagree, but I don't care because we agree.
It's fine. That's all that
Yeah,
matters right now in this conversation.
we're the only people on this video, so it doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want. Um, One last one before I let you go and have some sleep because we're recording relatively late. Do you have a particular favorite bit of lore? Be 40k
Ooh,
AOS, whatever, like 30k, could be heresy, whatever you want. Do you have a favorite bit of lore?
I feel very put on the spot. Hang on.
There's a lot of lore to go through, especially in
There is a
40k,
lot, and I've
30k.
read a lot, but I'm going to sound like like I know nothing. But it's like they're going to come up with the most like obvious thing, like when Horus became bad.
Yeah, obviously, when Horus fell, that was like the favorite
Yeah,
bit.
like I was there,
Nobody's, yeah, nobody said that so far. I've
Oh
recorded
well,
2 episodes
well,
before
I'm
this.
actually being really original then. So,
If you say it first,
um,
you are the OG, so it's fine.
yeah, I mean, I really like anything Blood Angels related when it comes to
Yep.
lore. So, like, I've read, like Devastation of Bao is probably my favorite 40k book. Like, absolutely love that book. I think it's epic. It was like one of the first books where like I read it and was like, this has really captured in my imagination the scale of
Mm,
this fight, this battle. Like this is like, worlds and planets and things like that, and like how big the threat was, like the Tyranids. I
yeah.
just felt like it was explained so well, and you really felt that kind of like that unease and that terror of
Yeah.
like shit, these guys are coming to invade, and like even the Blood Angels, who are like the best loyalist chapter, are like scared
Mm,
of it.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it
I
was
mean,
just,
yeah, it was like a Blood Angel ending, like entire gene seed ending
yeah, it was
event.
like so captivating, and like I just thought it was really like interesting, like the character perspectives you get in it, from Dante to Gabriel Seth to Mephiston. Astraph's in there too, and like how old they all actually are, like especially
Mm,
Dante, and the way
yeah.
he's talking about things and sort of accepting his fate, but also still wanting
Yeah.
to win. And yeah, I think the whole sort of the curse of the blood, and that they see Sanguinius and the betrayal and stuff like that. Like I don't know, I think Space Vampires are really cool.
No, fair. Blood
So
Angels was my
yeah, so
very
that
first
would
army.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, that would probably be my like lore thing. Like, and I've read like the Mephiston books as well, and like the Dante ones and all that sort of stuff, and the Heresy Blood Angels books as well. So yeah,
Blood
that
Angels.
would probably, that would be it. Like I think they're always that like one chapter that I'm like, if anything book related comes out for them, or Warcom article, like I'll go straight to
Yeah.
read it, and stuff like that. And like I was actually only thinking the other day, I was like, I could really read Devastation of Baal again. Like I've read it twice already, but like I could read that again, and Actually, probably even like the Mephiston series again, which again I think is a masterclass of like the 40k books, because there's some that aren't as good,
Yep. Yep.
controversially. Um,
I'm not sure
I
there's
feel
much
like,
controversy in that, but
yeah, I feel like the Heresy books are like always at like a super high standard, and like the Heresy series and the Siege of Terror books are just
yeah.
amazing. And I'm like halfway through the Siege of Terror, but I'm like having a bit of a break. It's a
Have you
really
have
long
you
siege.
have you read the last book? Do you know? Have you read any of the last book?
Well, I
Do
mean,
you
we
know
all know
anything?
what happens. It's
Well,
not
yeah,
really a
but like,
secret, is it?
but some of the stuff in there that I have listened to that book like 3 or 4 times. It's genuinely there's so much in there that I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
expect that.
No, so I haven't. I think I got up to. I think it's Walk. Is that the White
Oh,
Scars
okay.
one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I finished that. So that was the last one I read, and then I was like, I need a break from Space Marines and
Yeah, fair.
walls and sieges and stuff. Like, you know, when you just
Just
like
the
read
yeah,
so much in like a real condensed amount of time, and I was just
yeah.
like, I don't know
It gets
where we
very
are
Imperial Fist
anymore.
heavy
Like,
for a long time.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, the Blood Angels book was great. Was it Saturnine? Exquisite, wonderful. And yeah, there was all these like yellow guys, and I was just
Yeah.
like,
Building walls and seeing them
yeah,
knocked
we just keep
down.
waiting for
Yeah.
Robert to turn up, and he's not here yet, and it's just like,
Well, there's a
what a
lot more Blood
drag.
Angels in the final book, so if you get there, there's
Yeah, but
way more.
it's also I don't know whether I'm ready to like accept what like, even though I know what happens to a certain person, I'm not quite sure I'm ready to live that, read that. Do
It's quite graphic, so yeah,
you know
I
what I
would,
mean?
I would,
I've
yeah.
decided that I think he's actually technically still alive somewhere. That's what I think. I'd
I
be
mean, they
very
can always bring
excited.
them back. His
I
soul
mean, why
exists
wouldn't
somewhere in the
you? It would make
warp,
so
so
much money.
God, God, yeah,
Give me a 40k Sanguinius Primarch, please.
yeah. Just let Dante
Um,
die finally, because he's desperate to.
yeah,
Just bring
yeah.
back Sanguinius.
Just be like, oh, my dying wish is Sanguinius comes back to life, and then like, boom, Mephiston's like,
Yeah.
I'll make that happen. Astraph's over there, like, what the hell?
Are you allowed to do this? Is this?
Anyone? Is this okay? Anybody?
Shh. Just let it happen. Just
It's
let it
fine.
happen.
It's fine. There's some people over there going into like a blood rage. Go do all them.
Yeah, he's got wings. It's fine. No problem. He's not a
Yeah,
mutant.
exactly. It's not a
Sanguinius
demon at
is
all.
not a demon mutant thing.
They're not loyalist corn in the slightest. What are you on about?
Sure.
Ah, Blood Angels. They're so great. They're just so much
I mean,
fun.
yeah, they were my first army. At some point, I will do a video or
And
something
then you
on
went
my
wrong and you went for Dark Angels.
well, the better ones, the First Legion, right? Everyone's based off the Dark Angels.
They're a bit boring.
They're not, but how can you say that? They've got all the different wings, and I'm not just talking about like
Yeah,
green,
but they
Deathwing,
ain't got
Raven Wing.
actual wings, have they? Blood Angels. Well,
Well, I mean,
Sanguinius has got actual wings. I'm not sure
yeah,
about the rest of them. I
your
think they're
Sanguinary
fake,
Guard
but
have just lost their wings, haven't they?
oh,
So,
don't let's not even talk about those models, please. Oh gosh.
so
Oh,
to put you on
that
the
hurt a
spot,
little bit.
well, yeah, put you on the spot. 30k Blood Angels or 40k Blood Angels?
Oh. Uh, my brain's just trying to think of what the 30k Blood Angels look like for a second. Because, like, 30k is kind of weird because all the armies kind of look the same, other than their specific, like,
Oh, I just mean just
Terminators.
not necessarily what they look like, but also
Oh.
the sort of the ethos behind them. They're like
I think I'd have to
because
go
they are
30k just because I love Sanguinius. And
that's
he's
yeah,
only technically alive then, so
and you get Rowder on as well, right?
yeah, he's really cool. I
Who's
actually have
beast?
him. I need to paint him, and I do actually, yeah, really love the like the specific Terminators and stuff for 30k.
Yes,
They're
yeah.
very, very, very cool. They're cooler than the Sanguinary Guard. So.
I love the old Sanguinary Guard. I don't know what they took. Oh, yeah, I don't know why they took their wings
They don't
away.
even have nipples anymore.
That was such a
They weren't
that was
even
the
allowed to keep
controversy.
those. They took their
No,
wings, took their nipples, made them oddly chunky and curvy. It's just very strange model. Like,
yeah, it
if
did
you
make
like
me.
them, that's great.
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
did make me really really laugh though, because everyone's like, "Oh, you've just taken Stormcast Eternals and turned them into Blood Angels," and I was sat there like, I swear, like a good 90% of anybody that kit bashes Blood Angels takes Stormcast and turns them into Blood Angels.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
looking at you, Chloe, there, because
yeah, who would do such a thing? You know, like I mean, doesn't it just look so much cooler? Like, look at him.
but that's
He's
that just made me
beautiful.
laugh. They
He's got
are like this,
wings.
yeah.
It's
Well,
what he's
I was
supposed to
looking at them.
be.
All these complaints being like, "Oh, you've just turned them into Stormcast." I'm like, yeah, but you've been doing that for years. Like,
Yeah,
you've been
I mean,
taking the
I've got
Stormcast
ones
model
that
for
I
years.
originally did as well. Like, so that's with the new Stormcast Fly
Yeah,
Speary people. Um, but I actually did it with and it way back on my Instagram now. The old version of
yeah.
I can't remember what they're called. It's really going to bother me. The flappy Speary Stormcast
Done with like the spiky
prosecutors.
winged ones,
That's
prosecutors.
what they're
Yeah,
called. I know all the technical terms, me. Um, I did it with them, and I really enjoyed it at the time. But these ones, I love more. Only problem is now being able to source the old Sanguinary Guard stuff because I
yeah.
only managed to pick up one box before realizing, like, oh, hang on a minute, everybody's going to want this now because they're not so fond of the new ones. So it'll
I'm the
probably be
same
one
with
of those
Deathwing Knights.
projects
Yeah,
where I'll
Deathwing
probably
Knights.
only
Those
ever do a few
boxes.
of them, and then it will be
Yeah,
kind of like sad.
they'll be like your elite Sanguinary Guard. They're like the
Yeah, just
Dante
one in each
Guard.
unit. So I'd be like,
It's a
just
sergeant.
hide behind,
There you go.
like hide the
Yeah,
other ones behind their wings, and be like, don't look at those. They're
yeah.
not
They're
here.
my little
Okay.
brothers. Just ignore them.
Yeah, yeah. They wanted to tag along, and my mum said I had to bring them. They're from
Yeah.
Timu. It's not their fault.
They were cheap, all right. I got them cheap. Just
Yeah, they were like a really dodgy AdMech website, and it wasn't what I was expecting. But we got to make the best of what we've got, you know, because we did nearly get wiped out by Tyranids. It's all a bit awkward.
exactly. That's what the
But
Tyranids took with them is the wings. They just took.
you
They went through, picked
the wings
all
and
the
the
wings
nipples. They were
off.
like,
You can't have those
snacks.
nipples. Take them away. Yeah.
But it's such an odd choice. Like I do. It's not often that I look at, like, you know, because obviously I love GW, like, you know, we all do. And it's fun to poke fun at the silly
Yeah.
things, especially some of the sculpts, because you are a bit like, especially when, like we were saying earlier, like how amazing like Underworlds are, and Kill Team
Yeah.
and Necromunda, and just how wacky and amazing some of those sculpts are. And then you get the Sanguinary Guard, and I think that's like the perfect example of me just being like,
What happened here?
so we okayed that one, and we also okayed that one, and nobody kind of went,
Let's put these next to each
feel
other
like we're
and
at a
see.
different level here.
Yeah.
And was it like was it Cortez, like that Inquisitor model?
Oh, the fat Cortez.
Yeah. Again, interesting choice. I'm all here for the curves and the curvaceous 41st millennium.
Yeah.
But it does look slightly weird in power armor, I'm not gonna lie.
Yes. Yeah. Who approved that power armor? So somebody should have gone. Actually, power armor doesn't. Really come in
And don't you like
that
you know?
size.
And I get it. There's sculptors behind it, and like you know, I get it. I'm not poking fun at the person. It's just the model it's entertaining, and you can't help but sort of like look at it and kind of be like, well, compared to some stuff, that's an interesting choice.
I mean, I do kind of want one just to have one. So maybe that's the
I
thing.
kind of want some of the Sanguinary Guard to kit bash.
Yes.
And give wings. Maybe they'll look better with wings. Potentially.
Well, so I don't mind them as a whole, and
They're going to
I
need
quite
big
like
wings,
the spears.
though.
Yeah, that's
Because
the
they're
thing.
chunky.
Yeah, because they are such big models, they do need those bigger wings. So I think they'd look really good.
I don't know what would
somebody brings them out. Somebody will do a 3D design of some big cool wings.
The only issue is if you want to play events at Warhammer World, which is always a bit of a poo-poo.
True. Yeah, true.
Just like magnetize them, take them off.
Yeah, just like, oh, there's a GW person coming.
Pluck those wings.
Yeah, just be the Tyranids and just be like, you can't have those nipples, you can't have those wings, just for 2 seconds.
Magnetized nipples. Like the world's smallest magnet. Like, there I am saying that I wouldn't drill barrels, but I'm absolutely a-okay about magnetizing nipples to my models.
Yes,
you know,
drilling those tiny holes.
Slanesh would
tiny
love
magnets.
that.
Oh god,
Could you imagine?
Blood Angels become the Slaneshi loyalists. Just
Oh
tons of
no,
nipples
I think I
everywhere.
prefer them being on the corn side. I've never Slanesh. I've never got it. It's a bit
I
weird.
agree with you.
It's a
Yes, I
bit
agree.
weird.
I'm a
Yeah,
Zeech guy personally, but that's
Zinch is
more
cool.
privileged
I
me.
can get on board. That's just wizards and hocus pocus. I
Exactly.
like that. And corn is just chaos and
Angry boys.
grr. But Slanesh is just a bit weird. It
I mean,
makes me a bit
you're a Nurgle
uncomfortable. How
fan.
weird.
I mean, yeah, that some of the models are insane. I'm also not so sure on Nurgle models personally. I like
Oh,
Mortorion.
ouch.
Yeah, I know. I knew you
Ouch.
wouldn't like that one. Yeah,
Oof.
Zinch,
I've not actually
Corn,
painted
Nurgle,
Mortarion.
Slaanesh. He's incredible. Get him. He's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, but then I've painted my big guy though, and I'm like,
But then you
do
can
I
have them
want to
play
go?
together. Like,
Yeah, but
hello.
do I want to go through that again? Like, that's a big project. That's the thing. Like,
It's
I've always looked at
genuinely such a
him,
good
and
one.
I'm like, you are an amazing model, but when you look at it, and you're just like, I feel overwhelmed already, and I've not even purchased you, and like, I don't have you, and I'm like, I don't know. This
I
is
mean,
just, I
the
wouldn't know where
sub
to
assemblings of him
start.
work. That you can sub assemble him really
Yeah,
easily. It's
that's
almost like
true.
he's designed to be done that way. And it's like, I think actually, did Darren Latham do the tutorial on him on GW's YouTube at the time? Because they painted him in sub
Potentially.
assemblies. And I think that might have been the first like actual GW video where I saw them
Yeah.
painting something in that many sub assemblies.
You're like
Um,
smart.
yeah, I was
That
like, yeah,
makes
of course.
sense.
Honestly, it's
There'd be me, and I'd be
I
like,
yeah.
no, I'm going to glue the whole thing and I'm going to
God.
paint it in a minute and a half for all of you.
That's just the chain. He's got so many chains, and there's so many little
Oh, I
like cool little
know.
like flying
The little
nurglings. It's,
nurglings. The
honestly,
to be honest, that's like the main thing I want it for, because like we were saying earlier about like the little things that come with like kits and stuff. Like he's got some great nurglings on him and on his base and stuff like that. I've got like a whole pot of
just little nurglings.
like collecting
Yeah,
like the
little bits,
nurglings. I'm
and
like, I don't know
yeah,
what I'm going to use you for at any point, but I just like knowing that I've just got like this little pot of nurglings. So if I do at any point decide, you know what, yeah, I'm going to put them on all the bases, which I did think about at one point. Then I was like, that's a lot of
just make
nurglings to paint.
a great unclean one purely out of
Could you
nurglings.
imagine just like build? That could be really fun.
Yeah,
No, I can't do that.
you
I
can
couldn't
do
do
that.
that.
You can, it's going to take a long time, so maybe we'll
I'm
have to
going to
do
need
it
a
over
lot of
time. But
nurglings. I feel like I'm going to need more than the little pot that I have.
yes, probably, yeah, yeah. So Blood Angels was the answer,
Yeah, it was.
and
Sorry, everyone.
30k over
Big
40k.
tangent.
Yeah, big tangent onto Chaos Gods. It's not that big a tangent. Blood
It's not
Angels are
that far
basically
removed, is it?
yeah. Blood Angels are basically a chaotic
Well,
loyalist
Dark Angels aren't good
legion.
either, are they? Because didn't they fall?
Look, everybody had fallen. Nobody's just willing to accept it more than the Dark Angels. We've just turned the
They're
fallen
like the
into a
original
game.
bad boys if they're number one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
And technically, they didn't fall with Horus. They just fell Horus adjacent. Let's just put it out. They were Horus adjacent when they fell, so they weren't
Were
part
they
of the
with Erebus
heresy.
instead? Or who? Like.
I'm not going to spoil it, but Luther takes the Horus heresy as an opportunity
Oh.
to move away from the lion. So he doesn't. So he
I mean, you got to
uses the
capitalise where
heresy.
you can, right? You know what I mean? You got
Exactly.
to break away. You got to be your own person at some point. Get out of under your dad's shadow. You know,
Exactly.
got to be your own person. Why not side with the Chaos Gods whilst you're at it?
No, don't do that because you become a fallen, and Asmodai
You
will
might get
hunt
some
you
cool
down.
powers though.
Asmodai, yeah, but then Asmodai will hunt you down and make you repent, and I'm not sure I'd want him hunting me down. He's a
Would you
pretty
rather
scary dude.
him hunt you down or Astrath hunt you down?
I think I'd rather have Astrath hunt me down because at least I know that he's just going to chop my head off.
That's what I was thinking actually. I was like, actually, no, maybe he's more scary. But then I'm like, but it is just a big axe and he's just going to chop your head off,
Asmodai
isn't
will
he?
torture you until you apologise for falling to
Tell you that you
chaos.
were a bad person. You know, like, I know.
Yeah, he will make you say sorry no matter how much you want to. He will make you say sorry and then he'll kill you. So I just
Yeah, that's not a fun way to go. I'd rather just like a clean
no.
and
Just
then,
take my head
be
off.
done
The
with.
moment you meet me, just take that head off. I'll accept
Yeah, and
that.
he's just
That's
gonna
fine.
like come out of nowhere as well and do it. So like, there's not even gonna be that kind of like build up. Like he'll just
Yeah.
get you.
Asmodee will
before you
appear in
even
this
know
cloud
it.
of smoke and just appear through like an old school boy band video of them moving through fake
It's like
smoke.
stars
And
in their eyes, like, and tonight,
yeah,
nephew,
I'll be
I'm gonna
Asmodee.
get you.
I'm gonna torture you until I kill you. What a nice episode that would be. Well, that was a tangent.
I think that's one of the best questions / conversations I've had about, who would I rather end me in the 41st millennium?
Yeah, Astaroth
It's pretty
apparently. So
sound.
yeah, could be worse.
I feel like he'd be gentle with it, but like quick, like.
Yeah, be quick. Yeah, be mercy
Yeah,
stroke.
so it's like,
Yeah.
there doesn't seem much mercy on the Dark Angel side. So,
Dark Angels don't do mercy. It's not a thing. So yeah, that's it. That was my last question. So I'd say it was nice and quick, but we've been over about an hour. Really appreciate your time, Chloe, as always.
Thank
Anybody that
you.
wants to find Chloe, you are Lady Khaine. For reasons that we talked about in the last episode. So if you want to learn more about Chloe, we talked for quite
And
a
if
long
I
time.
want to remind myself, I will go listen to that podcast. Make sure I tell the same story.
Just remember who you are and what
Like,
it is you do. Yeah.
What is it I do again?
What do I paint? What did I do? Yeah, just go back and listen
We'll
to
have
that.
to do this in like a year's time again. And then I'll just have like these little videos to retrospectively look like back on that. So what was I doing on social media in like 2023, 2024? Good little time capsules. It's great.
Yeah. This podcast, that's I'm just doing time capsules for other people. It's perfect. Yeah, and just slowly see me getting older and older and more wrinkled.
Yeah, I was just thinking like we're all gonna have to start, like, put some hair dye on.
Yeah, that would really work well for me. That hair dye.
I feel like it really helped. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean the beard is going grey. It's a lot greyer than it was probably when we last.
That's fine. It makes you like a distinguished gentleman, right?
Yeah, it's not the two kids that are turning me grey. It's being a distinguished gentleman.
They're wonderful additions to your life. You couldn't imagine life without them. It's not stressful in the slightest.
But both are very true. Yeah, but I'm back, so it's all good, right?
You are. It is. It is good.
Yeah. And for anybody that's been watching the video or listening to this on Spotify or whatever, I really hope you enjoy the show. I always love chatting with Chloe. We chat a lot over social media and stuff like that, but it's nice to actually sit down and chat properly for a good amount of time.
It really is, and you sort of like lose, like you forget how nice it is, like not in a bad way, like
yeah.
If you don't for a while, but it's been really great to catch up. And as I say, I hope everybody's enjoyed listening to the random things that have come out of this. And let us all know whether you're Team Astrath or Team Asmodee.
Yeah, and I mean Dark Angels versus Blood Angels. That's the age-old.
Well, we all know it's Blood Angels, but we'll let him think what he wants.
First Legion for a reason. Just saying.
But Sanguinius is the prettiest. Okay, he's the bestest. He has wings.
I mean...
The lion is grumpy.
Do you know what? I
very uncharismatic.
I would probably agree with you in the fact that Sanguinius is a better Primarch than the lion.
Exactly. So
I didn't really like... We're supposed to do an outro here, but I didn't really like the lion in 30k. I thought he was a bit of a douche. Sanguinius is significantly better in 30k.
So much better.
40k line is wonderful. Just going to say, put that out there.
Yeah, well, we can't compare that, can we, at the moment? Because technically...
Well, yeah. Where's your Primarch?
Sanguinius is a feather at the moment that the Blood Angels look after. But I think they're going to grow him back. I think it's going to be like Jurassic Park, and there'll be a tiny bit of DNA, and we'll just grow him again. And I promise this is the end, everyone. But that's my thoughts on this. Thank you so much, Ben, for having me on. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah, and thank you all for listening and watching. And if you did enjoy it, please subscribe, leave a like, put a review on wherever you find it. Wherever the buttons are, whichever thing you're watching or listening on. It really, really helps me out, and it gives me that sort of push to keep going with it. It also means that I can say to the wife, look, it's doing stuff. People are listening, honest.
It also means I can come back in a year's time. So, I'd appreciate it too.
Yeah, when Chloe forgets who she is again, she can come back and again.
Like, Lady Khaine,
who am I again? I know that I painted Angron like 6 years ago at this point.
I'm still going on about Angron. He's still there.
Still there, still going. So yeah, it's fine. Yeah. So, and if you want to get hold of Chloe, she's Lady Khaine. If you get hold of me, I'm First Rank Fire. There is a Discord as well, so if you want to join the First Round Fire Discord, come and jump on. It's good fun. And yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll cut it here.
We're
Thank you for
gonna go
joining us.
now.
Yeah,
We
bye,
promise.
bye.
Bye.